the best that I could. So I started learning alif, the ba, the ta, the ta, the jim, and all the way to the end of the alphabet. And I did that, and I recited it to a brother. He said, now you can move on to the next stage. I said, well, what is that? He said, now you have to learn how to connect these letters and make some sort of a sound. So I began by connecting alif and ba and ta and tha and jim and ha and ka and dal and ra, za, sin, shin, sod, daw'od, all the way to the end of the alphabet. I connected them all. When that feat was accomplished, now it was time to begin the process of learning to connect letters that make words up. That became a little more difficult. So I started with ha, mim, dal, connected them. And I would ask the brother to take my paper with me, and he would tell me what it meant. Okay. So I said, this is nice. I like this is fun. But I told him, I said, check, I can't remember some of these things. He said, you will eventually, and you'll learn how to read them, you'll learn how to connect them, and you'll know the meaning of a lot of them. So we had cells at the time, and there was one, maybe two of us in a cell. My cellie, or the gentleman that was living with me in that confined situation, he liked to watch television. I didn't like to watch television. He was Muslim, but he was a television watcher. However, every time I began the process of making an attempt to learn something in Islam, he would turn the television. He would listen intently, but he wouldn't study with me. And I find that today, that a lot of the Muslims that really don't know very much, they don't come to classes. The Imam here gives classes on a regular basis and reaches out to everyone to come to class to try to learn a little more than what you actually think that you know. And we don't know very much of it. Some of us know a little, some know a little bit more, but some know absolutely nothing. They pick up a Quran, it's either English or some English translation or transliteration. And that's not good. Basically because of the fact that, as the Sheikh said, reading from the Muslim, there's a great reward. So I started back then, and I went on, and I did it for 5.5 years. When I came home, I found it, I had gained some knowledge of reading from the Musaf, but it wasn't nearly enough. You know, it was slow, very slow, but then over the next 25 years, because of the fact that I diligently was patient in trying to learn, it got faster, it got faster, it got faster. I picked up a word here, I picked up the meaning of a word there, another word here, another word there, and through that process, I became a little better. Not to the point where I'll read in front of you. I don't like to read in front of people. I'm scared. I'm totally afraid to read in front of people because I get very, very nervous and I do make some errors. However, there are those in this masjid that listen to me intently in the mornings, especially before Salat al-Fajr, and they correct me. They help me. MashaAllah. However, most of the time I read by myself and only with one other person. And you need one person to read with you to correct any errors that you make. But I've been coming to Salat al-Fajr for a long time, early in the morning. And when I get here, there's no one here. The door is locked and no one is here. And I find everyone comes 5 minutes before the prayer. Inshallah, there are some that I'm asking to reach out to. If you come to Salat al-Fajr, come here about maybe 4:15, 4:30 in the morning, so you can sit with me and we can read from the Musaf together. If you know a lot, if you know some, and if you know just a little bit, you can sit, read, and correct one another. So my quest to being able to read from the Musaf and understand some of it began, as I said earlier, in the penitentiary. But today, at my age, I'm still trying very diligently to learn as much as I can and read as much as I can correctly from the Musa. Dr. Safi and a brother named Nizar Kurdi. And as I said before, there was a sheikh in Villanova. His name was Sheikh Saeed. He's now in Boston, and he was very instrumental in helping me because I had a job in that area of Villanova, and I used to pray Salatul Fajr in Villanova every day. So I could not leave out of that masjid with Sheikh Saeed until I recited some ayats from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with him. And he would correct me at every juncture, with every word, and it was totally frustrating. However, after a period of time, I got better, I got a little better, learning some of the tajweed, learning some of the rules from the Musa, and alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Sheikh Saeed and allow him to enter the Jannah. Ameen, Ameen. Dr. Safi, alhamdulillah, very instrumental in helping us. Nizar Kurdi and Nizar Yagi, and at this point in time today, Sheikh Hassan, they are very instrumental in making attempts to help me to better myself in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by reading from the Musa correctly. And as you notice, he corrected me several times. That which they do in the morning by standing over there or standing here or after the prayer, they'll hear what I said and they'll come over. And alhamdulillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's been a long, long journey and I have a long way to go. And maybe inshallah, some of you who don't read from the Quran, begin the process of making an attempt to do that, so those blessings that you get from Alif, Ba, and Ta, and Ta, and Jeen, and all the way to the end of the alphabet, and basically more so over and above all of that, learning the Al-Fatiha. So that, inshallah, ta'ala, your prayer will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you begin learning the Al-Fatiha, even if you make a lot of mistakes, as the Shaykh said, you'll get much more of a blessing than those of us who recite it correctly, or those of you all who recite it correctly, without making any errors. That guy is stumbling along. He's getting more reward than we are because of the fact that he's stumbling and we're going through without any error, any mistake. So inshallah ta'ala, if you don't know how to read Arabic, come to classes. If you do think you know how to read, sit with someone and let them listen to you. And if they're knowledgeable enough in the recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as with myself, you're going to point out a mistake somewhere along the line within those 7 ayahs. And by coming and allowing someone to listen to you, you'll get better, and you'll get better, and you'll get better, and you'll be like me after a while. You won't want anyone to hear you because you're embarrassed because you think you're not saying the right thing, but actually you are. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all to this masjid and within some of the classes of the Shaykh, so we all, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, can get better of that of which we are supposed to know how to do already. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you and keep you safe, keep you strong, you and your family. And inshallah, help us all in the process of learning more about this religion and learning more about every aspect of it, including the recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is very important. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا لا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين آمين.
Thank you so much. Yeah, obviously, one task for another.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. إن الله نحمده ونستعينه ونؤمن به ونتوكل Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. First of all, I'd like to say, Brother Daw'od has been a long-standing member of this Islamic community here in Norristown. And he has done a lot throughout the community in all aspects. I mean, in every aspect. Being on the administration, be actively involved in every aspect of Islam in this Norristown community. And Brother Daw'od is one of the brothers that I have learned a lot from. I'm very proud of the advances that the brother has made as far as reciting the Quran. You've made a very valuable observation, a very valuable point. The fact that we have the resources here in the form of Sheikh Islam and all of the other sheikhs. The larger percentage of this ummah is not taking advantage, including myself, even though one of my excuses, I am busy working, which is not an excuse. But we should read, each and every one of us, and like the brother said, those who know, those who think they know, or if you don't know anything at all. By and large, we should all, even as a supporting fact, come to these classes, be involved. If I was like the Sheikh, I would be a little frustrated to know that on the day of Jum'ah, Yawm al-Jum'ah, there's so many people in here. And if the Sheikh is reaching out and doing his best to give the education to this community, and only a few people will turn up, it's very frustrating. So I urge myself, and I urge each and every one of you to come out to the classes, support the Sheikh in his endeavor, in his effort to uplift this community. Support yourself. And just like Brother Daw'od has mentioned, the consistency with which you will have to travel this road of education, this road of learning, it has to be consistent. And if we check in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us one thing many times. He doesn't say one thing and that's the end of it. He repeats the same thing many times. And there's a reason for that. The consistency will prevail in the end. Brother Daw'od, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us that you believe is of value on an overall basis?
Sure, the main object is consistency, which since I've been in community in Norristown since the early to mid 90s, we don't have that consistency that we need from people who attend the Musallas in Norristown. And that was seen from early on. Some of the people here I've seen for many, many years. Others I've only seen for a few years. And there are some that I know for many, many years that only come on Friday. You don't see the majority of the people for Salah Fajr. for Salat al-Bell. A lot of people work for Salat al-Dhuhr and Salat al-Asr. And Salat al-Maghrib also. Some of the people doing, based upon the time of the year, can't make it. But Salat al-Isha, inshallah, those who work during the day can make it at night, and those who work in the morning, of which I have a job, and I go to work 4 days a week, but every morning prior to going to that job, I find time to make it to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make Salat al-Fajr in Jama'ah. So the excuses that we make all of the time, I see them here because of the fact that our attendance at the prayers is very limited. Why? And we all know why, because everybody makes excuses why they can't come. I can't get up. It's too early for me. And you hear those excuses all the time. So maybe with this small group here, we can spread the word to many, many others. Hey, get up, get out of the bed, come to prayer. But most of the time, and Allah forbid that happens to any of us, people get up, and all of us know that. They get up with the plan of going to work, not to the masjid. So in reality, we need to be in the process of reaching out to our brothers, telling them, look, it's only, of course, in this case of the Sheikh, it's about 12 or 13 minutes, maybe 15 minutes that you have to stay for Salat al-Fajr, but inshallah that will give you enough time to come here, make Salat al-Fajr, and leave out and be able to get to work in time. So inshallah, spread the word to our Muslim brothers that, hey, before you go to work, come to Salat al-Fajr. Inshallah, the better with that. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you so much. In fact, I have many questions that I prepared for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Brother, Jazakallah khairan. But we have only about 35 minutes before Isha prayer, and there is we need like time for the dinner for Isha.
Okay.
There's a dinner in the other room. So the last question, I will ask you an advice for the youth, young people, because we need to learn from your experience in life, from your wisdom. So if you can give us like as much as you can from advice, like brief advice that you can remember. Maybe 3, 5, 4, 5 pieces of advice, but short advice that you can remember from life, that you learn from your life, from experience in the life, from your wisdom. So what is the best advice that you can pick for us?
The best piece of advice for the youth, if your parents are practicing Muslim, listen to your parents. Because by your parents practicing the religion of Islam, according to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you as a youth, you can't go wrong. However, if you venture off away from that of what your parents are trying to instruct you in and teach you how to live that way of life, and you decide as an individual you are going to venture out in this dunya, the life of this world and the life of this society that we live in, you're going to run into some serious difficulties because there are so many lures out here today, things that can allure you as a youth and as an adult also. I'm not just saying this for the youth, adults also. The lure of the dunya will cause you to put your Islam in your back pocket and live your life with the dunya in your front pocket. And that's how you will live your life according to the dunya, unless you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and follow the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, we're all going to have times of trials and tribulations and difficulty. The youth are going to have so many that their parents have to be there for them with Islam. Not partial Islam, not some Islam, but Islam within itself by way of the Quran and the Sunnah. The young men and the young women of today have a very serious problem because all of the technology, all of the lure of, I would say, money, it really is something that if you're in a home where there's not a lot of money, that dunya is going to lure you out there because you want to make some money in a way that's not in an illegal way. And it's going to cause you to end up, literally speaking, just where I do, behind bars. So we have to, as adults, we have to try to guide our youth. And as the youth, and I see one young man here, and the rest of the two, maybe two. The rest of y'all pretty old. You're elderly gentlemen, elderly statesmen. So as adults, we have to be in the process of teaching the youth just the basics of Islam. One thing to teach them all is to greet you if you're older than him. Say, excuse me, young man. Salam alaikum wa rahmatullah. The young greet the old in this religion, so where's my son? Just begin with something small, and inshallah you'll guide them to wanting to learn more and more and more and more about the religion. But if we say nothing to them about anything, in many, many instances, we're just turning them away because of the fact that they don't have the information that they need to be consistent in this religion. So inshallah, young, middle-aged, and older alike, let's work together, inshallah, according to the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and get where we need to be, the Jannah. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all, and may He help the older help the younger, inshallah, and may the younger adhere to what the older are trying to instruct them on. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا. Thank you so much for these inspiring words and this advice. And the knowledge is a great gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we need to improve our knowledge, and we need to practice what we are learning. When we learn something new, it's a great gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you should be grateful by living our life according to this knowledge, by improving our life according to the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to us. You will be asked, people who ignore knowledge, they will be asked about their ignorance, why they ignore, why they didn't learn. But when we have knowledge, we will be asked about our knowledge. If we are practicing, for doing, for living our life according to this knowledge, we know. So everyone will be asked according to his position and situation. So we need this reminder from time to time to live our life according to this reminder. As Brother Hassan mentioned, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us in the Quran many, many times about the same thing, because it is the nature of human that they forget. وإنما سمي الإنسان إنسانا بكثرة نسيانه. That human in Arabic called insan, and forgetting in Arabic called nisyan. Insan, nisyan. So a human being is called insan because he forgets a lot. So we should try to remind each other. We should try to remember these great things. We should try to practice and live our life according to this advice by getting more and more about Quran, giving Quran more and more from our time and our life, and inshallah we'll find more and more happiness, light and guidance in our life. And this, inshallah, by the way of Allah, by the guidance, by the mercy of Allah, will lead us to the eternal happiness in the Firdaus, Jannah Firdaus. We also guide us to be there with our parents, our family, and all Muslims. Allahumma ameen. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you again, Brother Hassan. Sheikh Daw'od, thank you for taking this and coming, and it's an honor to be with you. Inshallah, I know we have like series of lessons and meeting with people in our community here. So inshallah, we hope that inshallah we'll learn together, we get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala together. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك